Hey guys, and down here, just give me my chapter review to Nanatsu no Taizai, or the Seven Deadly Sins 343, An Everlasting Kingdom. Now this is a late review. I think it's been about 3-4 days since it's been out. The reality is I wasn't actually looking for Taizai. I kind of forgot that Taizai was one of the things I review, so apologies for that. And let's get down to it. So I haven't really planned out a good kind of breakdown of this chapter. In the sense of these are the things I want to talk about. These are the key things that I think should be addressed, because it was, when you look at what happened this chapter, there was really only a couple main things that happened. Whether I like the chapter or not, I'm very kind of neutral about it, because if I complain about this chapter, I'm complaining about more of the same things, the same artifacts that I've been complaining about for a while, about Taizai and specifically. So I'm going to try not to address those things again, even though most likely now that I've said it, those will be the things I will address. But let's go through the chapter, and I'll explain what I thought was good, what I thought was bad, and what I thought was just not very good at all. So we start off with Cath basically shit-talking Arthur, saying, oh, that's funny, you found a way to kill me, you found a way to defeat me, what are you going to do, shit on me? And then this part was actually really cool. I thought this part was pretty dope. You see the ground kind of begin to liquefy, and you see the Sins going, oh shit, something's about to happen. The only one who can stand his ground really is Arthur, because he has control of chaos. And you actually see Merlin, who seems to be pretty fine with it as well. Meliodas and Ban seems to be cool with it, but Meliodas just jumps towards Elizabeth because Elizabeth can't protect herself. Bloodstained Ellie can't protect herself. But King and Diane are shitting their pants. King's like, what the hell's going on? But I really liked this panel, this page, where Cath's, the pathway that was in between them just kind of melds into his lower jaw, becomes like a pathway into his mouth and down his throat, and you see all those vicious teeth that are angled out at weird positions. It just looks like a terrifying sight. I mean, Nakaba's artwork this chapter, once again, you can't fault him for his artwork. Anyway, Arthur then says, no, the one who's going to be eaten is you. Now, I think I made a joke about this, skimming over that comment. I think I made a joke about this last chapter review where I was like, oh, Arthur's going to say, I think I read it on Reddit, something like that, and I was laughing at it like, oh, that's pretty funny. So I mentioned it in my review, saying that if Arthur's solution is to eat Cath, that would be kind of stupid, but it also kind of makes sense. So I'm not sure whether I'm pissed off about this or not, but it does sound stupid. The whole thing that Cath was trying to do with Arthur was, I'm going to eat you, ingest you, become chaos. That's going to be me. I'm going to be the king of chaos. And Arthur's whole thing is, oh shit, you took some chaos from me. How do I kill you? Because I can't seem to destroy chaos. So then, logically speaking, the only way he could do it is, I'll ingest you. But I don't know, something about it doesn't sit well with me, and I'm like, really, are we having a game of I'ma eat you? No, I'ma eat you. And I'm just like, is this really what we're reading right now? So then Arthur does what? Arthur is like the Katakuri to Luffy. Arthur is like Arthur to Cath is like Katakuri to, I couldn't say it, the Katakuri to Luffy. So everything that Cath does, Arthur does 2.0, does better. So Cath makes like a pathway into his maw down his throat. So then Arthur's like, no, I'ma eat you. And then quite literally changes the entire landscape into these rows and rows of shark-like teeth with an opening for like the throat, and then a large piercing looking tongue just lolling out. Arthur seems to be in complete control. All the Sins are now floating. But Arthur then establishes some gravity, I think, and they all drop down. Meliodas and Elizabeth look like they're already on the floor somewhere. I'm not sure exactly how that happened. But the issue I had with this double spread, Arthur is in complete control of his abilities. He legit only got them like an hour or two ago, and my guy is there like, I'm gonna shape this entire world into this giant mouth like a shark kind of thing, and I'm gonna eat you, even though you seem to have had better control of chaos. I mean, like, they both really only inherited chaos around about the same time, but Cath even less actually, but they both seem to be very proficient with its use, especially Arthur in this position, whereas Arthur originally, the whole issue we were supposed to see, and what I thought we were gonna see, was that he was shit at using chaos, cause much like anything, if you hand me a piano, I'm gonna be like, well shit, the only thing I can really try to even play is Axel Foley's Beverly Hills Cop, kind of, the Crazy Frog kind of thing. I ain't got jack shit else I can play, but this guy's coming out with Moonlight Sonata, and I'm just like, I'm not sure if you should be able to do that, but he's doing it. Diane says some useless shit as per usual, and what I liked here actually was we see Cath trying to survive. So he transforms his body basically into a porcupine and jabs these like solidified pieces of his flesh that are now spines into this gaping maw that Arthur has created, which is stopping Arthur from shutting his mouth essentially down onto Cath. And I was like, all right, so why did that, like, this is just me thinking out loud now, why did that stop the teeth coming down? I mean, like, did Arthur create nerve endings in the roof of this thing's mouth where it was just like, oh shit, I can't bite down because it'll hurt? I mean, surely you could just bite down, unless what this is showing is Cath's little spine things are so structurally sound that they're actually physically stopping it rather than just the pain. So it might be that. It might just be they're physically strong enough to stop this thing coming down on top of him. We then see that tongue lash out and wrap itself around Cath, with Arthur restating, if I can't defeat you, I'ma just absorb you, I'ma eat you. And while he's at it, he's going to take Chaos back. Arthur's sword here, you see that it's kind of, I'm not sure what's actually happening here. It's kind of receding. Is it the more he's using Chaos, the less his sword is? Because his sword is kind of like an amalgamation of Chaos. So is it the more he's actually creating outside of himself, the less the sword takes shape? I'm not sure. I'm just thinking out loud. But he's then kind of pulling Cath down this throat, down these rows of sharp teeth to reclaim the chaos that is his. Cath is pulling back, saying, "Bitch, I'm a direct descendant of chaos. I ain't gonna die like this. I'm the one fit to wield its power." Diane and the Sins are kind of just watching. Instead, I thought they were gonna at least help and get rid of those structure things that Cath made that are stopping the teeth from closing down on his back. I thought Diane, or maybe even freaking Meliodas, who's looking directly at this, thinking, he's got an ellipses thinking. I was like, yeah, he's gonna go in, slice them up, and be like, all right, Arthur, kill him. But none of them do that. So Arthur, I was just like, come on, man. Like, really, the Sins were bird watching this entire fucking chapter. They were just like, ooh, this looks kind of nice though. Should we help though? And I'm saying, yes, do something. You can't. You're the freaking 6 of the 7 deadly sins. You can't just have these guys watch the new strong guy and just be like, all right, cool. He's now the main character, guys. I hope you enjoy it. That's not what I was here for, but that's what we got. Arthur is then, typical kind of Arthur. Cath, what are you trying to accomplish with chaos? Cath gives us the very generic response, and this is, if you're ever gonna write a story, have a character that is just purely focused on destruction. He has no other motivation. He just wants to see the world burn. That Joker kind of thing, where it's just, I have no really insidious ulterior motives. I just want to watch the world burn. I just want to be that wrench in everyone's machinery and everyone's that spanner in everyone's works. I don't care about how everything else works. I just want to be against everything. I want to destroy everything. And I'm like, yeah, have that. But I feel like Cath needed more of a motivation than just, I'm going to destroy everything. And I'm saying, shut the fuck up, man. Like, really? I think characters like that have a place and a time, like the Joker. But even the Joker had more of a, he wasn't just one dimensional, like, I'm going to destroy everything. His was more, I want to see the world burn, but I also want to, his was a certain, I want to antagonize Batman. I want to force him to do things that he doesn't want to do. So it was more the kind of game aspect of it to the Joker, like a chess game. So, but Cath here is not the Joker. He's not Heath Ledger at any point, and he's just like, yeah, I want to destroy everything. And I was like, maybe Nakaba could have thought a little bit more about the motivation behind Cath, because that's a really shitty one. What I did like about that panel, however, is you see that Cath's lower jaw is kind of fused into this path and the teeth is still jutting out. I think that looks dope. Once again, Nakaba's ideas for drawings and stuff like that, and his creativity in that sense, amazing. It looks so monstrous. It looks so cool. But it wasn't, but the actual story was shit. So Merlin then gives us her own rendition of how to be Diane and provide us with useless dialogue. She's like, so this guy is a cluster of destructive will wrought by chaos. I was like, Thanks, man. we pretty much just found that out. So Cath then asks Arthur in return. He's like, all right, now you know what I want to do. What do you want to do? What do you want to use chaos for? Are you going to rebuild that kingdom that you've already failed to protect? It's going to crumble eventually. That's his whole thing, nihilism, right? There's no point building anything up because everything's going to crumble in the end. But I'm like, yeah, there's no point in living if you're just going to die in the end. What are you supposed to do in between? That's some bullshit ideology right there. So he even tries to attack Arthur psychologically, saying, I bet you your subjects that are dead right now, I bet you they hate you, they slander you as the incompetent king. And Arthur kind of in his head just thinks back to, I'm not sure who said this to him, but he just thinks back to, it's not what other people think of you, it's what you think of others. I'm not sure how that really fits in. I mean, like, yeah, I agree with it. It's you shouldn't give a shit about what other people think of you. But I don't agree with that second part. It's what you think of others. I think it's what you think of yourself. That's what it should be. I'm not sure that I'm not saying there's a translation error. I'm just saying that's what the saying should be. Don't give a shit about what other people think of you. Analyze yourself critically and think of what you think of yourself, and are you meeting the goals and the targets that you've set for yourself. So what do you think of yourself? Are you achieving according to yours truly? But that's not what we get here. It's you shouldn't give a shit what other people think of you. You should think of them. I'm not sure how that makes sense, but anyway, Arthur is like, I don't want what he wants isn't to be a good king or for other people to acknowledge him as a good king. All he wants is for everyone to live happily. So this comes back to, it's not what others think of you, but what you think of others. So he's like, I don't want them to think of me as like an amazing king or acknowledge me as that. I want to think that they're happy and they're living happily. And I'm like, cool, like you do you. But he continues saying he doesn't care about what people think of him or like good shit, but he wants to create a land where nobody suffers, nobody grieves, a safe land where no one's terrified by any threat or disaster, and he wants to create an everlasting kingdom. So rather than talk about the two things before that, a land where nobody suffers and nobody grieves, which is basically impossible, a safe land where nobody will feel terrified by any threat or disaster, well, you can have that for a time, but usually, like just judging by our history, there's always going to be something that comes across, even if it's not, let's say, a military force. There's always going to be something like maybe a plague, a disease, an earthquake, a natural disaster, something that's going to happen out of your control, Arthur, even though Arthur is now in control of technically anything. And he wants to create an everlasting kingdom. So rather than focus on those 2 points, Cath focuses on the everlasting kingdom. He's like, are you stupid? That's a contradiction. That's chaotic. And then he kind of shits his pants as he realizes, oh, we're both trying to claim chaos here, and he just said he is going to lead chaos. He's going to try and go towards chaos. And then we had this kind of fourth wall kind of break here, where Meliodas is like, wow, he admitted it himself. And Merlin's like, yeah, I'd say he walked right into it. I'm just like, come on, Nakava, man. Like, really? Like, basically what he got was Cath admitted that Arthur was going to lead humanity, or lead at least the people around him, towards this chaos, and he's going to lead chaos, essentially become the king of chaos. And because of him admitting that, he dies. That's pretty much it. So I'm not sure if like there was a small waver in his heart or something like that. But Arthur we basically got this scene so Arthur could say that, like, could give the steely-eyed gaze towards Cath and say, that's right, I'm the king of chaos. And I was like, cool, like, it looks dope as fuck, but the thing preceding it was Cath saying, oh, that's chaotic, oh shit, a slip of the tongue, and then he gets jarred and killed by the tongue. So I'm just like, okay, cool. He then gets pulled into this pit mouth thing and eaten alive, and we hear a gulp. Everyone's back in the normal world. Arthur thinks that Cath is now inside his stomach somewhere, and he's not sure whether he's reclaimed that power or not. Merlin says, yes, you have, because look at the sword in your hand. And now we get the full kind of form, the final form of the holy sword Excalibur. And it looks dope as shit, actually. I think it looks really nice. I like the fact that it doesn't have a normal crossguard. It doesn't even really technically have a crossguard. It's more like an arced blade. It reminds me of something. I'm not sure what it reminds me of. It's a game, something Chronicles. It's a Nintendo game, Xenoblade. I haven't played it, but I know something about it. And there's a sword that looks kind of familiar, similar to this. There's a small sigil on like just where the cross guard should be, of like a Naruto swirl with an up, down, left, right arrow. So I don't know. He must be a PlayStation fan. God knows. But anyway, Meliodas then says, "Okay, that's definitely a sword fit for a king." Arthur's blushing, all that good shit. But now that he said that, basically the end of this chapter is Meliodas says to Arthur, "You've made a promise now. You said you're going to be the king of this everlasting kingdom where no one's going to grieve, where no one's going to have any reason to be fearful of anything. That's a goal that you've set for yourself. It's wild, but why not carry it out? You go strive for that shit." We have the Sins kind of giving each other that kind of sitcom look of just like, that's true. And I'm just like, come on, man. Like, this is it's just badly shown. I feel there should be a level of seriousness to all of this where they realize that they've just taken out the Demon King, the entity that was going to take over chaos and all that shit. But instead it looks very silly, and I'm like, please stop. And it's the issue I had with One Piece the other week, where Odin's kind of doing that thing of, and I was born to boil, and then he gets shot in the head. And I was like, and then everyone breathes in and goes to boil, and I was like, stop. Like, I get One Piece that you have that kind of that theme throughout the series of having these moments which are both serious but also have a funny kind of comedic nature to them, but you got to separate out the two sometimes, especially in situations where there's a death involved of a major character and stuff like that, or major antagonist. And I just feel like Taizai in this chapter and the Odin chapter we got last, both of these failed to do that. So Meliodas is just like, oh yeah, you go create that world, and even if you take the wrong road, the 7 deadly sins will be with you, with all the sins there, apart from, of course, Escanor, because he's not a sin, because he's dead. And we have Elizabeth there. So is Elizabeth the next sin? Is she now the 7 deadly sins? Is this not the 6 of the 7 deadly sins? Is this not the 6 deadly sins? Or can't they just call themselves the sins now, because, there's not 7 of them anymore? I'm not sure. But I thought this was stupid as well, because the sins did absolute jack shit this entire chapter, and they're there saying, yeah, you can rely on us if you need help, even though we could not help you with anything you just did in these last couple chapters. So yeah, thanks. And I was like, this is bullshit. So Arthur's there like, yeah, you guys are my everlasting goal, even though he's technically surpassed them because he's bodied beings that would have basically killed him. So I'm not sure where this is going to go now. I couldn't really give too much of a shit. Like I said, this chapter, I didn't hate it. I just mentioned a whole bunch of shit I didn't like about it, but I still didn't hate it. I thought there were large parts of it which were bad. Some parts which were... Did I even mention any parts which were good? Maybe not any good parts, apart from the artwork, of course. But I feel like this is just complaining more and more about the same thing, like the power scaling and Arthur suddenly being able to utilize all of his powers, even though he's never actually tried to use them before. But let me know what you guys thought of this chapter. Let me know what you guys thought of this review. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow with my release of maybe One Piece or My Hero Academia. So I'll see you guys in a bit.